I'm Michael with Mountpac. Today I'm going to be installing some shoe base or quarter round trim around a laminate flooring I just installed. A couple things that I did was there was some bullnose corners, and I'll show you in a second, but had to do some fancy cutting around that, and then the edges and stuff like that. So I'm going to show you one of the corners that I did. It took a little bit. One moment. Now this cut right here is a 22 and a half, and then 22 and a half, and I kind of cut the trim a little further than the actual edge of the flat part, so the pieces will fit. This distance from this joint and this joint is around 5/8 of an inch. Same with this one over here. I think this one was, there was I can't remember. I think this one was 15 degrees, and this one was the 22 and a half. And this was just a regular, these were cut actually at 44 degrees. So this one you cut at 44, and this one's 44, and it's nice, clean seam, as you can see there. Sorry about the camera light. Alright, and then here are the tools that I am using on this project. Measuring tape, carpenter's pencil, 18 gauge nailer. I think I'm using 2 or 2 1/4 inch nails, which I'll be showing you here pretty soon. I'm trying to show you the 18 gauge. It's kind of hard to show up there. Alright, there you go, 18 gauge. Then I also have a brad nailer, which is a 23 gauge nailer. And then these are the nails I'm using. Looks like they're a 2-inch nails. This particular brand is a Hitachi, but it doesn't matter exactly which ones which nails you're using. And then I have just a small air compressor. This one's a 3-gallon one. You could also use 5 gallons as well. This one's just really nice for small jobs like this. And then also I have a chop saw with a nice blade on it, and this one's nice because it has all the degrees marked. So we're going to be using 45, 44, also 15, 22.5 degrees, also 30 degrees is okay. A lot of the cutting I'm not going to show you. So the corners, the inside corners are 44 degrees, and then the outside corners I cut at 45 degrees. Then I put the nails approximately about 12 inches apart, just to make sure everything was sunk in and there was no crack on the upper side of the trim. Usually the wood grain type trim takes a little bit longer to install versus just the white square stock trim. And then here's the bigger portion. I cut all these pieces before nailing, so I kind of just showed the nailing of them. And then I glued all the corners together to make sure they stay put, and then nailed those corners in as well. And remember, these bullnose corners I cut at 22.5 degrees, and then each of the corner pieces are 5/8 inches long. After about 20 or 30 linear feet, I tend to start checking my nail gun to make sure the nails are still going, because it doesn't help when you use the nail gun and no nails come out. And I like to use my fingers to make sure the two pieces line up and that there's no weird crack or joint or difference in elevation or sizing. So everything looks nice and clean. And I like to have the two pieces joined together in a long wall, have a 45-degree cut, and then glue and then nail at the joint just to make sure that everything lines up here as shown in this part of the video here. And I usually try to work it until it looks perfect, and then I put it in, put the nails in to the boards. And most of these seams, you could barely tell that there's a seam. It's pretty great. And then when you're cutting the long pieces before the corner, you want to make sure that you go maybe an eighth past the corner or the edge right before the bull nose. And that'll give you a nice kind of a 90-degree shape with the corner pieces. And again, 22.5-degree cuts to make those two corner pieces. I used a hammer just to make sure things were lining up correctly. I barely tapped it. Don't hit too hard if you do use a hammer because it will show divots into the trim, especially this trim that's not actually wood. And as said in the early part of the video, it took a little trial and error in this area here. Again, going from right to left, I put 44 degrees in the corner, and then a 15 degree, and then with a 22.5 degree, excuse me. And then at the corner, bull nose, there's 22.5 degrees, and then also, 5/8 length on that corner piece. Everything nailed pretty nicely. And then here is just kind of going over the different measurements of the pieces here as I cut them. And just remember when you're cutting those little pieces to cut with a long piece. You don't want to try to grab too small of a piece and try to cut with. So the longer the better, but most of those pieces were done with maybe a 2 feet long trim piece to help reduce the amount of, closeness for the arm or hand to get to the blade. And there's a 45 degrees, and then 44 is actually what I cut the inside corners at, and it turned out really nicely when that's done. Just remember the long walls to make sure those are 45 degrees. And then here is one of those long walls. You can't even tell where the joint is, and then that joint here in the corner is awesome with a 44 degree turn there, and then the bullnose corner. We even did it in the closet here. Overall, this trim turned out really great with the flooring. And normally if you're buying wood trim to match your laminate flooring, in this case, most of the time the supplier that you actually buy the laminate flooring with, they usually have a recommendation or a laminate based trim like this, or you could also get the I think 3 or 4 inch base trim as well to go along with your laminate flooring. This was approximately 3 days to do all this trim, and I hope your project goes well. Just remember to take your time and things will go well. Thanks for watching today. I hope you learned something and build more confidence in installing the trim by yourself. I appreciate you watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment below. And we'll see you on your next project. Also, if you have anybody that would benefit from this video, please share this video with them, and hopefully they'll be able to learn some things to do their own items in their house, and that they'll build confidence. Thanks so much, and have a great day.